Coming up, check in current news, Newsline. The timeless legend has been born. The ATV Miss Asia Pageant 2012. All the contestants have proven their beauty and wisdom on the night of the grand final. Congratulations to this year's winner, Amy Chen. First runner-up, Annie Chi. And second runner-up, Svetlana Gulikova. What happens out there is real. Get the latest European news and current affairs. Whatever happens, when it happens, you're always the first to know. Check in current news. European Journal, every Monday night at 8. Life is beautiful, regardless of how you look at it. One movement, one touch. All these beautiful moments will be captured on Nature's Unique Angles, Monday night at 10. Stay close to fresh K-pop from the hottest selling artists to the up-and-coming superstars. Keep in touch with the latest chart of the Korean pop music scene on Samsung Digital Special. Pops in Seoul, Thursday at 6:25 p.m. No matter where you are, you always want to go back to where it all started. Following their footsteps to the most fascinating destinations in China. Find out about the varied cultures and what it means to be a Guangdonger. Leisure Time, tracing origins around Guangdong. Tonight at 8:30.
Adapt and thrive. Top executives of global enterprises reveal their secrets to establish effective communication in Asian countries. Don't just give them what they want. Tell them what they need. All About Documentary. Asia's Business Leaders. Saturday night at 10.
This program only reflects the personal views of the program hosts and/or the individual contributors.
This is Newsline. I'm Michael Chigani. Tonight, a very special guest, Chief Executive, Mr. Siwa Leung. Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive, for being on this show.
Thank you, Michael. Good evening to you.
Good evening to you. I know you're very busy. Now, before I get on to other questions, there is one big question I need to ask, and this shot came out of the blue, and that is of an ally of yours. I suppose now it's a former ally of yours, Mr. Lau Mong Hong. He made some very serious allegations against you, that you made up a story about hiring 3 experts to give you the all clear on your illegal structures at your home, that you had promised him an executive council seat and you broke that promise, and also that you consider the Democrats as your enemy. Now, these are very serious charges, Mr. Chief Executive. And, you know, you have to say something about this, because saying no comment, I don't think people will accept that.
Nothing new. And what he said has been refuted by people who were, for example, at that dinner party. Plus the fact that what he said about my houses on the peak were not true. They were actually properly responded to a couple of months ago in my written statement, which were advertised in the newspapers. So nothing new and nothing true.
So none of this is true at all?
No, not at all, not at all.
Okay. Now, I know you don't want me to ask any more questions about this because there are other issues. And I know if I ask you any more questions, you're going to say there's nothing new in that question. So it's now accepted by you that what Mr. Lamont Hong said is all not true. Okay.
Well, we're rather focused on the policy address.
I know. So now, but then, again, the policy address, a lot of the issues that came out of the policy address in some ways are connected with that other issue. You've been in office now for 7 months, Mr. Chief Executive. And in those 7 months, you have had a lot of scandals, one after the other, and the one a few days ago was yet another scandal. Some people would say, or are saying, that you are a divisive leader, that you have divided Hong Kong. How would you respond to that?
We have done a lot in the last 7 months. Look at what we have done. We got through LegCo, and therefore 400,000 elderly in need will receive old age living allowance, $2,200 a month. In April, we launched a couple of months before schedule in August, concessionary bus fare for all elderly. We launched a series of housing-related issues, including introduction of buyer stamp duty. Okay, that may be controversial. Some might even say that's divisive, but we launched it. It helped stabilize the market. We also did a lot on the supply side. In terms of building infrastructure on the neighborhood level, we announced again a few months ago, and just a few months into the new government, the installation of lifts and elevators in about 220 locations to help the frail, the elderly, and the handicapped.
Despite all that, Mr. Chief Executive, people still say that you have been the most divisive leader that they can remember.
We have achieved a lot in the last.
So you won't say you're a divisive leader.
We have achieved a lot in the last 7 months. Society has very different views on the various issues that we need to tackle. For example, there's one body of opinion out there which somehow feels that there shouldn't be any means test for old age living allowance.
And others say, sure.
We can't afford it, and therefore we have to look after the needy first. If you say that's divisive, that may be the nature of the issue. Secondly, we need a new town. We sorely need a new town to provide the large number of housing units which we sorely need.
And you want to have that in the North and New Territories?
We will have that in Northeast New Territories. And again, there is a body of opinion out there that feels that that's selling Hong Kong out to the mainlanders.
It's not selling Hong Kong out, that's not true?
Not true. And people have different opinions, but we are moving ahead, we're plowing on, and we're achieving.
Okay, now, going back, just one more on this issue. I've had some of your very staunch supporters on this show before, and they also say that there is a trust problem with you, that people don't trust you. Why is that? Do you feel that? Do you have a trust problem?
We'll concentrate on the communication side. We'll enact legislation, we formulate policies, and we communicate properly with the people. And this government, my political team, has been doing our very best. Not just myself, but all my policy secretaries have been out there in the neighborhoods, talking and listening to the people. And this is the ultimate and the most effective way of communicating with the people and building trust. We don't assume that people will give us the trust come what may. We have to earn the trust of the people. This is a new government.
Do you have the trust of the people
we are
now?
Earning the trust of the people by talking and listening to the people. And interestingly, when we actually out there talking and listening to the people, the focus and the viewpoints of the people are real issues, the issue that we are now tackling in the policy address, namely building a robust economy, tackling poverty issues, aging society issues, the environment, and particularly housing. And so we're doing that. We're building trust with people. We're also forging a partnership with the people.
But do you have the trust of the people? In your mind, do you think you have the trust of the people?
We are building a trust of the
You're
trust
building, but do you have it now?
With the people. We don't assume There's no reason why we should have the trust of the people on day one. We should earn the trust of the people, and that's what we are doing.
Okay. Now, coming on this trust issue, there have been marches where people have said you should resign, that you're not telling the truth, you're a liar, you should resign. Has it ever, Mr. Chief Executive, entered your mind, even for a minute, that you should resign?
No. We are making progress. The team and I...
You never thought about resigning?
We are making very good progress. As I said, many of the pledges in my election manifesto are being delivered, and they are now sort of part of government's work, and they are now part of life in Hong Kong. Old age living allowance, managing down external demand for housing units, making supply of housing as expedient as possible. And we are taking not just long-term measures, but also short and medium-term measures as well.
So 5 years, 4.5 years from now, you'll still be sitting here and I'll also be able to interview you. You'll be here for the long haul.
It's not just that. And I hope when we talk about government and Hong Kong generally in 4.5 years' time, you and I would agree that the government has actually done a lot, and done a lot according to the election manifesto.
So you're going to be here for the full 5 years?
Well, I'm going to be here to deliver on the promises that I made in my manifesto.
That's it. That means you're going to be here for the full 5 years. Now, I want to talk about democracy, because that's one issue I see that's going to come up quite a bit. In your policy speech, you were sharply criticized by the so-called pan-Democrats for saying very few things about democracy. You said we have a lot of time to deal with this, because the direct elections is 2017. So we have time to deal with that. How much time? When do you think you will start consulting the people? We're 2013 now. There's an election in 2016.
Two things. Firstly, it's loud and clear. It's a loud and clear message from the people that the government should tackle other issues first. Housing. Just look at the very good response to government's housing initiatives. The Greenview Villa, which is a subsidized project.
Yes,
for sale.
A lot of people wanted to buy that.
White form applicants want to buy HOS units in the second-hand market. Now, these are pressing issues. When it comes to housing, people don't want to wait for 4 or 5 years. They want solutions, preferably tomorrow, and the government is working very hard on this. As chief executive, I chair meetings on a daily basis with heads of various bureaus and government departments to make sure that land and housing units are available as soon as possible. Now, second thing, we are not taking our eyes off 2017.
You're not?
We're not at all. We're not taking our eyes off this subject of political reform.
Do you support it, Mr. Chief Executive?
Of course I do.
Do you support democracy for Hong Kong?
Of course I do.
You don't hardly speak passionately about it.
I've been working on this since I was Secretary General for the Basic Law Consultative Committee in 1988.
So you don't see the Democrats as your enemies?
We have, not at all. In fact, I've invited, and they don't come every time, I've invited my Democratic lawmakers to breakfast, lunches, and dinners, and
they don't turn up,
and other sessions to talk and listen to them. They don't always turn up. And,
but you can say here and now that you don't see them as your enemies.
Not at all. I see them as partners, and I see all lawmakers in Legislative Council as partners. We know how important it is to have a good working relationship between executive authorities, which is government, and the Legislative Council. And in the last 7 months since I took up this office, I've been attending legislative sessions many times, talking directly to them and listening to them.
But can you
The second thing I want to say about 2017 is that while we are not taking our eyes off this target, we do have time. Because we have 4 or 5 years before.
But how much time? When will you go to the people? Can you give us a date or a year that you will go to the people and consult them on this?
Well, we will have enough time to consult with the people. We'll have enough time to discuss.
But can you say it's going to be 2014?
We also have time to enact the necessary legislation. I don't think anyone has said that we need the full 4 or 5 years. to do this process. And in fact, this is not the first time when we address this question of direct election, universal suffrage for chief executive election. Many of the viewpoints and arguments have been known, as I said, since 1988, when we sat down to draft the basic law. So we need to sort of recap on these issues, probably revisit some of the arguments, but we're not building this from ground zero.
All right, okay. More of Mr. C.Y. Leung soon. Don't go away.
One of the greatest singers of our time. Never been seen interviews and rare footage of the legendary pop diva. Whitney Houston. Let's remember her for her talent and greatest love. Documentary World. Biography. Whitney Houston. Saturday night at 9.
Reports from the heart of Berlin. Take a closer look at the development in one of the most powerful countries in Europe. How much do you know about Germany? Check in current news. People and Politics, Friday night at 8.
Every day we learn. From him. From her. From someone we barely know. But what does it mean to you and me? Find out the answers on Global 3000, Thursday night at 8.
This Saturday, get extra amusement from our fabulous Korean Hour. Korea Agro Fisheries and Food Trade Corporation Special, Korean Hour, You Are My Destiny. Saturday afternoon at 5:30.
點解寬頻上網啲速度咁慢㗎？又話好似光速咁快，講啲咁嘅嘢唔係個個適合聽㗎喎。哇！呢啲節目未必啱小朋友睇㗎喎。
老公啊，如果你有任何咧關於廣播同埋電訊方面嘅投訴咧，可以向通訊事務管理局反映嘅。
佢係香港廣播業同埋電訊業嘅單一規管機構嚟㗎。
投訴嘅時候記得提供足夠同埋具體嘅資料嚇。
Awesome is just the understatement of the year. If you're talking about the two most gifted detectives in Santa Barbara, one of the hottest detective dramas in the United States. Funny.
Not you, I'm gonna clean it up.
Extraordinary. And hardly predictable. Mega hit 900, Psych. Every Thursday and Friday night at 9.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Newsline. I'm Michael Chigani, and my very special guest this evening, Mr. C.Y. Leung, the Chief Executive. Thank you again, Mr. Chief Executive,
Thank you,
for being
Michael.
on this show. Now, in the first half of the show, we discussed those some of the very serious allegations made against you by your former ally, and you don't want to really talk about that. You've said what you want to say on that. So we'll move on to other issues. Now, you made housing your top issue in your policy speech. Arising from the issue, there are many other things, and one is that there's this growing anger against Hong Kong's property developers. There's property hegemony and so on. You said something recently that you had meetings with the CPG, Central People's Government, and they had said that they supported your property market policies. I had separately read somewhere that in fact you told the top leaders that some of these policies may upset the property developers in Hong Kong, and they said it doesn't matter, go ahead and do that. Is that true?
Well, Hong Kong is a very transparent society. Hong Kong has heard what, for example, the Real Estate Developers Association have said about government's initiative to levy buyer's stamp duty, for example.
They opposed a lot of
we have different views and different positions on these matters. But as far as I'm concerned, two things. Firstly, we need to manage down external demand. Last year, 2012, about 20% of new units went to buyers who were not Hong Kong residents. So we need to manage down because there's a shortage. Secondly,
when you say manage down, do you mean you're not going to let that happen again, or you want to lower the 20%?
Well, the buyer stamp duty has achieved that effect. I think that 20% has essentially gone away. Secondly, it is important for us to have a healthy and steady property market for the real estate developers industry to operate in as well. It would do no one any service at all, not developers either, if we have a wildly fluctuating property market.
Do you dare face them, Mr.
So that's my goal.
Do you dare face the chief, the property developers, Mr. Chief Executive? Because many people thought when you were elected that you would confront them, that they have a stranglehold on the market, and that you're going to dare face them down.
The writings on the wall, Michael. The writings on the wall. This government has levied buyer stamp duty, never before. Some out there in the community might even have one or two ideological, philosophical problems with that, but we launched it. We increased the rate under the special stamp duty legislation.
Is that saying in an indirect way that you will confront them?
Well, look at the facts, and don't talk about impressions or don't jump into conclusions.
The facts are you're confronting them.
Look at the facts. We are taking measures on the demand side, we're taking measures on the supply side.
They don't scare you, Mr. Chief Executive.
We're also expediting the approval process to increase the number of pre-sale units on the market as quickly as possible.
A lot of things you've done in the policy speech, people say, well, long-term, medium-term, nothing much short-term. Sitting here, how do you tell the people today who want immediate relief that people whose rents are going up, mine's going up 40%, by the way, people whose rents are going up, people who cannot afford to buy property today? What do you tell these people, Mr. Chief Executive?
I earnestly ask the people to read the policy address, the chapter on land and housing. There are many short-term measures that will provide relief.
But prices are still going up.
I also asked the people to look at figures. 2 days ago, the Secretary for Transport and Housing came out and announced that we have 12,000 units or 18,000 units under construction, and that number is the highest.
But it still takes time, Mr. Chief Executive.
It's the highest in the last 10 years, and it is a very considerable supply. While I will not be drawn into any discussion about whether it's the best time to buy property in Hong Kong, please look at the figures. In the 6 months since we took office, government approved the pre-sale application for 8,000 units, and we are processing 12,000 units. Now, compare these figures to the average completion of 10,000 units a year in the last 5 years. So look at the figures. Please read the Housing and Land chapter in the policy address.
Do you blame your predecessor for all the problems you're now facing? Because there's a land shortage of unaffordable housing, not enough units.
I saw the difficulties.
Do you blame him?
I saw the difficulties that Hong Kong was facing. I knew this would not be an easy job, but I made a decision to take on the challenge because Hong Kong's home and family, we need to
But that's
provide.
not answering my question. Do you blame your predecessor?
I don't blame anyone, and I wanted this position. And I wanted this position so that I could work with the rest of Hong Kong to tackle many of the challenges, not just housing and land, but many other challenges as well, together.
Okay, now another challenge, and this is a big challenge that's happening now. People are very angry. They're having to fight for milk powder, and they're saying, if you can't even buy milk powder, how is that right in a developed society like ours? We've got a lot of mainlanders in Hong Kong now, and I see it. Many people do see it as a ticking time bomb because there is a lot of tension with that. You've got people coming in every day. You've got a high number of tourists coming in. Our streets are packed. The MTR is packed. You cannot buy milk powder. People are lining up for school places, for kids, having to compete with mainland parents and their children. How is that right?
It is an important issue. Unfortunately, for us, for myself, 200,000 babies whose parents were not Hong Kong permanent residents had been born in the last 7 years. And it was me who put a stop to this.
That's right, you did that.
I put a stop to this policy. And I said in black and white in my policy address that when there's shortage, Hong Kong people come first. Now, I have done it on the housing side. So anyone who's not a Hong Kong resident, anyone who wants to buy residential property, you pay 15% more, and that's by stamp duty. And I want to carry through this policy or this principle in the work of government. And we'll do whatever we can, whether it's school places, whether it's milk powder, whether it's housing units. I want to do whatever I can to satisfy the needs of Hong Kong people first.
But how do you do that? Because the mainland children born to mainland parents, they have every right. They are right of abode people in Hong Kong. They're born here, they have the right of abode. You cannot exclude them from the schools.
Two things. We need to plan ahead, and we want to make sure that there will be enough places for both types of babies. And secondly, in terms of allocation of the school places within the districts or on the district level, we want to make sure that there will be as little disruption for Hong Kong parents and Hong Kong families as possible.
Would you give Hong Kong kids priority?
Well, we will do whatever we can, but obviously we also need to consider the legal angle. But as I said, Hong Kong people come first and Hong Kong families come first. And I want to do it with a minimum disruption to Hong Kong families.
Are we looking at a time bomb here? Because there is rising tension.
We need to look at the issues and deal with the issues, and records show very clearly that this government grabbed the networks by the horns, and we provide solutions, and the solutions are working.
Okay. Now, you know, as I said, you've been chief executive for 7 months. I have to say, and I hope you take this in the right way, you're looking a lot older. Obama, it took him 4 years to have more white hair. It took you 7 months. Are you enjoying your job?
I actually enjoy it. And this is not the first time I say this. I enjoy it because it's a great team.
Despite all the pressures and all the scandals, and people accusing you of being a liar, you still enjoy it.
It's a great team, very effective and dedicated civil service. I'm most grateful for the support. And above all, we are delivering.
How do you feel when people call you a liar? How do you feel?
Well, that's very much the nature of the politics. It's not Hong Kong's not alone in that category, and I have to say I've been in this business long enough. As I said, I was Secretary General of the Basic Law Consultative Committee in 1988. Although the heat in that kitchen, the heat in Hong Kong 20-something years ago was a bit lower.
You don't take that seriously then?
It was a bit lower. I mean, sometimes you have to take it in your strides and take some of these criticisms philosophically.
Okay. Now, I've got a last question. I've got a minute left. When you won the election, you did say that you will run for a second term. The second term is in 2017, is direct elections. Can you tell me now whether you still have that in mind, that you will run again?
I have not changed my mind, because many of the issues and challenges will take more than 5 years to tackle. More importantly, looking at the more positive side of things, many of the opportunities that we have, the country's given us, the region's given us, the world's given us, will take more than 5 years to materialize.
So in 2017, the election will be a direct election, universal suffrage. If you do win that election, you'll be the first person In Hong Kong, in fact, in the whole of China, who will be directly elected as a leader?
That will be my target, but I'll need the cooperation of everyone in Hong Kong, including Legislative Council.
So you want to be the first person directly elected?
I have not changed my mind. I'll try my very best.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive.
Thank you.